Call public hearing to order. Notice of public hearing. A public hearing will be held at 6 p.m. August the 13th, 2024 at Belton City Hall Annex, 520 Main Street, during which citizens may be heard regarding property tax rates proposed not to be set by the City of Belton. So if anybody wants to speak on behalf or against the property tax rates, feel free to come to the microphone and state your name and address, and we will listen to you. And do we need to talk about anything beforehand, or should we just wait? Yeah, why don't we go ahead, because I don't see anybody jumping in the microphone, so why don't we get started? And so,
Mr. Mayor and council members, yes, obviously this is the public hearing for the tax levy. Sorry, you get the B team. Casey's homesick, and she actually showed up and wanted to be here, but I sent her home.
So she was sick.
Yeah, so essentially what we've got is we had a 1.1159% increase in existing property tax valuation, and so based on the Hancock Amendment, we can take the actual valuation increase or the CPI or 5%, whatever is the lower of those numbers. And so the most we could take is 5%, but since the lower of the numbers was the actual growth, and that does not include new property, so that 1.1159% is what we're proposing to accept. I believe the total amount's about $21,000 or $29,000, essentially, and that's what we would be levying. That would leave the actual levy rate static or the same year over year, and so that's what's being proposed.
Any questions from the council? Or again, anybody in the public wishing to speak for or against the tax rate hearing, come to the microphone and state your name and address. How long do we need to?
No, I think take a drink of water.
I can do that. For the third time, anybody wishing to speak for or against setting the levy rates for the City of Belton, come to the microphone and speak your piece. Hearing and seeing none at this time, I'm going to adjourn the public hearing. It's all right. Item C, calling meeting to order. Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Prime.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Larkey.
Here.
Councilmember White.
Here.
Councilmember Thompson. Councilmember Pryan.
Here.
Councilmember Davidson.
Here.
Councilmember Lawson.
Here.
Councilmember Richardson.
Here.
Councilmember McCallum.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson. Here.
We have a quorum. F, personal appearances. We have one that was too late for the printer, so she's here. So come on up, state your name and
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, Council, and staff for letting me come tonight. One of the things that I wanted to visit with you about today is a Dog Days of Summer Main Street Sidewalk Sale. The Chamber is happy to host this, organize it. I will be on Main Street all day on Saturday, August the 31st. This is not a Chamber-only event. This is for every business that's on Main Street. I've heard from some of the stores that business has been a little slow this summer. And so we're just trying to do something to help either get the word out about Main Street more, to encourage folks to come down to Main Street. So on top of the shopping that will be in the stores, what we're proposing to do is we have a food truck lined up, Depot Dog Express. They'll be serving hot dogs. And we have a request in for the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile to show up, but we've not got confirmation on that one yet. And then Lily's and Four Paws is willing to hold a dog parade, a costume contest, a photo booth, a dog agility demonstration, and a dachshund race. We're also going to be giving out free dog treats and just try to make a full day of advertising our great businesses on Main Street. The question that I have for you is, would it be possible to have this event with the dogs from 10 in the morning until 12 o'clock at noon in the vacant lots in the 300 block? It would be much easier on the dogs. It wouldn't be on pavement. It would be cooler. We'll provide dog treats and bowls of water for them, and that's where we'd like to do all of the pet costume contest and the dog agility demonstration. If you have any questions, I'd be
questions?
happy to answer.
Any questions? Is everybody okay with allowing them to use the city lot on Main Street?
We will not be closing Main Street for this. This will be open all day. I am working with Downtown Belton Main Street. We're collaborating on this event. They have approved everything that's on our flyer so far, and we're looking at putting an ad in the paper if the council approves this.
I think you're good to go.
Is there anything that you need from me?
Anybody? Not at this time, you're good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, thank you very much. If I may I also mention to you about the Belton Day at the K that we're working on in connection with the City of Belton. It will be Sunday, August the 25th. The Belton Chamber is happy to have organized this. The funds that we raise, we will be giving a large portion of the net proceeds to the Belton School District, supporting their baseball program, which is celebrating their 50th year this year. We do encourage everyone to come out and join us, all the citizens in Belton. We hope City Council, city staff will join us for that. You can just go on our Facebook page. There's a link to purchase tickets there directly. If you don't purchase tickets there, it does not support the Belton Chamber and the school district. We're selling raffle tickets, and those raffle tickets, the basket actually has a value of almost $1,000. Does include 4 sets of tickets to 2 different games, and we're also selling these Belton Day at the K t-shirts that do have the city logo and the chamber logo and sponsors on the back. The raffle tickets and the t-shirts are available at my office, and again, the ticket link is on our Facebook page. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the Belton Day at the K? We had a great luncheon meeting today where we had Slugger join us and Matt Stewart from Fox 4 News. We had a great luncheon at Creekmore, and there was a lot of excitement about it. We sold over $500 in raffle tickets just at the luncheon.
How am I supposed to win if you keep selling tickets?
You could buy more.
All right, anybody got any questions for Diane? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
G, unfinished business. 1, motion approving the final reading of Bill 2024-39.
An ordinance readopting ordinance number 91-2073 as amended, establishing a procedure to disclose potential conflict of interest and substantial interest for certain municipal officials.
Present.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilmember Lawson,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Richardson,
Aye.
Pryan,
Aye.
McCallum,
Aye.
Davidson,
Yes.
White,
Aye.
Mayor Larkey.
Aye. Motion carries. 2, motion approving the final reading of Bill 2024-40.
An ordinance approving the revision of the City of Belton fiscal year 2024 adopted city budget.
Present.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Pryan,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Richardson,
Aye.
McCallum,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Davidson.
Yes.
Motion carries. H, new business. Number 1, motion approving the first reading of Bill 2024-41.
An ordinance levying and fixing the rate of tax for municipal purposes for the Park Fund and for the Debt Service Fund for fiscal year 2025.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. You're up.
Mr. Mayor and Council, yeah, I don't have much to add from the public hearing, other than this is the actual formal approval that you guys are doing to adopt the rates that were discussed or that were presented for the public hearing. I stand for any questions.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 2, motion approving the first reading of Bill 2024-42.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission Service Transportation Block Grant for the Markey Parkway connection with the city of Belton, Missouri, in substantially similar form to the draft supplemental agreement included as Exhibit A.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and 2 seconds. You're up.
So if you remember back in about February, I was able to acquire $3 million extra money from Mark that we did not have to build the Markey Parkway extension from basically Home Depot over, not Home Depot, from Hobby Lobby over to North Scott. Since then, more dollars became available at Mark, and I was able to get another $750,000 added to our grant. Because of that, we have to do a supplementary agreement, revising the original agreement we had with MoDOT in order to get that extra $750,000. So this agreement does just that. It's an agreement between us and MoDOT Highway Commission to get that money. This project was due August 1st. It's already been turned in, and all that's standing in between us and obligating and bidding the job is passing this. So I normally don't ask for anything to be read twice, but obligation is pending on us passing this. So I'd ask for 2 reads tonight if that would be possible. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Go ahead.
All right, so the residents have asked, how will it connect to the current Markey Road at North Scott, given the fact that there's currently a building there kind of near that corner? Can you talk about that?
So the new road that we're going to build is going to come south of the muffler shop, and we'll stop at the muffler shop, and the existing road will stay where it is. We're going to put a traffic signal in there, and it'll be split phase, which means that north and south will run together, and then east will run, then west will run. And so that'll allow traffic to pass through the intersection until we can build the next segment.
So it will not be exactly parallel, is that correct?
Correct, not at this time. Not until we build the next phase.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
This would also explain why so many projects are going on at the same time, is you wisely found us all this extra money, right?
Correct. I've been trying to go out there and beat the bush, get as much federal funding as we can.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion for a second.
Second.
We have a 2 motions for a second reading and a second. Oh, you got me confused now. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion approving the second reading of Bill 2024-42.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission Service Transportation Block Grant for the Markey Parkway connection with the city of Belton, Missouri, in substantially similar form to the draft supplemental agreement included as Exhibit A.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilmember Richardson?
Aye.
Thompson? Sorry. Pryan?
Aye.
Davidson?
Yes.
Johnson?
Aye.
White?
Aye.
Lawson?
Aye.
McCallum?
Aye.
Mayor Larkey.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 3, motion approving the first reading of Bill 2024-43.
An ordinance approving an amendment to the current collective bargaining agreement between the Fraternal Order of Police and the City of Belton to provide an increase in compensation for the Belton Police Department employees.
Present.
Second.
Motion and a second. You're up.
Mr. Mayor and Council, yes, we discussed in a previous meeting the issue regarding continual rising of pay rates for police officers throughout the metro area. Anybody who's been paying attention to the Kansas City news has seen, Kansas City had a big raise. Independence has got something big going, even Raymore's gotten into the act. And so those are just three. A lot of cities in the metro area are getting involved and raising the rate of pay for police officers. We've discussed many times the difficulty in recruiting and retaining police officers for our force or any force anymore in today's environment. And so we have done some negotiation with the local union, and we've come up with an agreement that they've approved, which would extend their CBA by a year. And in return, we would be doing a couple of things. We'd be giving a raise up front, anywhere from 5 to 9%. And we would be shrinking the number of steps that we would have in the police department step schedule for all the union employees. It'd go from 18 steps to 12 steps, which is not unprecedented. If you recall, we did the same thing for the fire employees when we did the new CBA that was just approved recently. And so what we're asking from you is for an amendment to the CBA, which would allow us to do so. Glad to stand for any questions.
Any questions, any discussion? Go ahead.
You said it would extend a year. Is that from the 2026 expiration?
Correct.
Okay.
Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, motion approving the first reading of Bill 2024-44.
An ordinance approving a software board agreement between the Belton Police Department, Belton Fire Department, Cass County Sheriff's Office, Harrisonville Police Department, Peculiar Police Department, Pleasant Hill Police Department, Raymore Police Department, South Metro Fire Protection District, West Peculiar Fire Protection District, and the Cass County Emergency Services Board.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. You're up.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this is a software board agreement with the ESB. This discussion has been taking place at the ESB level and with all of the jurisdictions that were listed for quite some time to provide centralized computer-aided dispatch, records management system, and jail management system for all of the public safety answering points, or PSAPs, throughout the county. There are 5 of them. We are one of them. And so this is not an obligation in the cost sharing. That will come at a future date. This is just essentially outlining the governance of this agreement or this arrangement for the CAD and the management systems. And so there was also a deadline for go live, which was actually today. And so we are asking for a double reading if it would please the council, so that way they can go ahead and move forward with this. Without the approval of the double reading, then the other organizations listed, the other cities listed, the other PSAPs listed were going live, and we would be left out without going live, and then we would have to try to figure out a way to pay for bringing the software folks back to help us go live at a future date so we decided to tag on in a future date. So it's kind of a muddied thing, but I'll be glad to answer any questions that I possibly can. We've also got, our police and fire chief are here, and they've been involved, and we've also got our local folks who've been involved in the development of this project. Some of those folks are here as well. So glad to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Oh, are you pointing to me or who?
Either one of you, go ahead.
I wasn't looking that way. All right, so I understand that the cost share piece is coming at a later time. If we have a disagreement between any number of the people involved in that cost share, or we just don't agree with it, how would that work if we need to change that at that time?
Well, that's a good question. If we had a disagreement and decided to not do it, I mean, currently we have Omnigo for our records management system and our jail management system, and we also have Omnigo for the CAD, but the Omnigo CAD portion is being paid for by the ESB, and so they're moving this to the new system, this new Central Square system. And so if we decided at some point we did not want to participate in this new system and go back to Omnigo, we'd have to come up with our own agreement that we would have to pay for to do so.
So my follow-up on that then would be, do we have any concern? Because look, that's a lot of different districts and people involved, obviously the county. So is there any concern that there might be some, butting of heads on that regard?
Oh, I think it's fair to say there's already been quite a bit of butting heads as far as that's concerned, but they've been working through that from that perspective, at least from the operational perspective, that most everything's been worked out, and I don't think there is much, if any, disagreement from that format. The only potential, ESB did go out on a limb, and they did sign an agreement with Central Square before getting all of the cities or all the PSAPs involved in creating this intergovernmental agreement. That was a risk they took, but at the same time, I think everybody wants to see something like this. I think the idea of centralized dispatch and centralized systems like this is attractive for a number of reasons, most of them being financial and fiscal. And so I think that any butting of heads if everybody's looking at it from the perspective of how do we best serve the residents, then I think that we'll end up coming to the right agreement. Let's put it that way.
Okay, and I know you said, again, not necessarily looking at finances right now, but if we were to break our current agreement in order to go to this, is that going to cost us anything to break that agreement?
No, we've got our agreement in place, and we've already committed to that regardless of whether we go to this or not. So there's, that outlay's taking place regardless. So there's not going to be any extra cost. Let's put it that way. I don't foresee us getting any savings by cutting off the old Omnigo records management, jail management systems to move to this, but there will be some, we perceive, potential real savings annually, year over year, to going to this centralized system.
That's ultimately why it's attractive, right?
That's a huge reason why it's attractive, but it's not the only reason why. I mean, when you're dealing with first response and public safety, the dollars and cents matter, but ultimately you're looking at, well, how do we best serve the residents? How do we increase the level of safety for our residents, right? And so we think that being able to easily access information like the computer-aided dispatch allows us to do is going to save time and potentially lives as people are responding to incidents.
All right, those are mine.
You're up. Go ahead.
But we don't know exactly what it's going to cost us.
We've got an idea, and there's some numbers have already are out there. Let's put it that way. Okay. We are paying about, I think we recently approved our RMS, JMS systems with Omnigo. It is like $80-some thousand, if you recall. This was not that long ago.
Right.
Our portion that's being talked about now with the draft agreements that are out there for the cost sharing lowers that to less than $30,000 essentially a year at this point. So, yeah, we're talking the potential for $50,000 worth of savings pretty easily on an annual basis.
But we still have Omnigo
for
in
now.
place.
For now.
But that would go away if we sign this.
If the idea is to move to this, and the ESB looked at Omnigo's who everybody's been using essentially, and there were a lot of real reasons that they wanted to go to the Central Square platform. They think that it's a better product, and so that's not, dollars and cents aren't the only thing. Like I said, ultimately we're trying to serve the public when it comes to public safety, and that's our highest priority. And then the dollars and cents are the second, like the 1B priority, right? And so if we can help with both of those instances, then why would we not?
Understood. Just wanted to know how the taxpayer dollars are being allocated at this point in time.
Yeah.
Because we do have a responsibility for that.
Absolutely.
So we're still paying Omnigo at this point in time, or
For
have
this
paid.
year's, we've
Yes.
already agreed to this contract, and I've already obligated ourselves to that agreement, because this hasn't been a done deal yet. So we didn't want to leave ourselves hanging without.
Okay.
And so that's been done. Yes.
And so if I'm understanding correctly, we'll still owe them even if we do the next thing.
Either way.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
I want to ask a question. Norman, can you put a date on the Omnigo system, how old it is? Yeah, no, the original date when I'm trying to get how old the product is.
Norm.
Sorry, come up here. I figured you were the only, or the smartest, or not the smartest one, but
Be careful.
the quickest one that could come up with a date.
I believe it was May 1998 was when we originally went with Omnigo. And then in 2007, we graduated up to their enterprise version. So
So that's what we're dealing with here, so, thank you. That's what I was trying to get. Go ahead.
So this year, we're going to be paying we paid the 80, but we're going to be paying an additional 30 roughly.
27-ish, most
So-
likely, yes.
Do we need to come back and do a budget amendment?
Nope, we budgeted for it.
Oh, so that was already in the budget previously.
This project's been a long-term project, and so we've been looking out for it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We're not asking the important people. Are the police chief and the fire chief happy with the new system?
Yes, the capabilities of this new system, and especially for our interaction with other jurisdictions, it's superior in every way.
I would agree with everything he said.
Go ahead.
So this is going to take us to a centralized dispatch.
Not quite.
This is just the software program.
This is just the computer-aided dispatch, which is the software program that the dispatchers utilize, okay? Now, the discussion of a centralized dispatch, that's
down the road.
further discussion that needs to take place.
Go ahead.
What kind of representation does Belton have on the ESB?
The ESB is these positions are elected, and so currently on the board itself, that's a good question. I mean, they're drawn up by districts, and so, Well, we know better than I would.
There's 3 members from the North Commissioners District and 3 from the South and 1 at large.
But to our knowledge, there's somebody from Belton on the board.
There is one, Dean Van Winkle is on the board.
Okay.
I don't know. Come up here and tell everybody. Thank you, please. And
My name's Eric Smith. I'm one of the North Commissioners for the ESB, and I work for South Metro Fire also. I'm a Raymore resident.
Okay.
I grew up in Cass County my entire life, and then, I serve with Dean on the board.
Okay.
And then Tom Ankert is the other member from the North District. It all matches the county commission districts.
And then Mayor Turnbow from Raymore is the member at large. And then South is
Sheriff Weber,
Sheriff Weber.
Chris Kurzweil, and Mark Lopez.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
I had a couple other questions, maybe for Joe. Is this the same central square we previously used in finance or utilities?
It's the same software company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's still, this new one will do CAD, RMS, and JMS, which is what OmniGo does. It's apples to apples exchange.
Well, yes, essentially.
What kind of transition are we looking at? Software transitions like this are a little scary sometimes.
Well, they've been working on it for quite some time and going back and forth with the software company. The go-live date, I mean, they're not going to shut off, my understanding is they're going to shut off OmniGo until everything's ironed out with the new system. But from what I'm hearing, they already started the go-live today on some of the other agencies, some of the other PSAPs with the new system. And even though they're finding some issues, from my understanding, it's a much superior product, and that working through these issues is not going to be it's not going to hinder public safety, let's put it that way.
So if we double read and pass this tonight, when would we expect to be deployed in the new
Would
system?
probably be tomorrow.
Huh. Okay.
That's why I'm asking for the double read, because otherwise that delays that.
Okay.
And
Anybody
again,
else?
I'm sorry, again, just real quick. Police and fire are in favor of this and want to go live tomorrow, if possible.
That's correct. There's been a lot of work put into it, and so to your question of the transition, it's been a couple years worth of work, and there's a handful of people that have done most of it. It hasn't been me. I've most of the time spent my time over my head learning stuff, but Chad Wright with Fire Department, Norman, Carla Wills, the Police Department has done a large amount of that, and so a lot of that work is done. The data has been transferred. The rest of Cass County is live in the system, and I've got the same reports as Joe that they had a couple little glitches that they worked through, but they went live. It's been flowing very well. And so it's pretty beneficial for us to get to it because we still have representatives of the software company in town for a few more days so that we get a chance to work through and find any problems we're having and iron that out while they're still on site.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion for a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for second reading. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion approving the second reading of Bill 2024-44.
An ordinance approving a software board agreement between the Belton Police Department, Belton Fire Department, Cass County Sheriff's Office, Harrisonville Police Department, Peculiar Police Department, Pleasant Hill Police Department, Raymore Police Department, South Metro Fire Protection District, West Peculiar Fire Protection District, and the Cass County Emergency Services Board.
Present.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilmember Pryan,
Aye.
Davidson,
Yes.
White,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
McCallum,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Mayor Larkey,
Yes,
Richardson.
Aye.
motion carries. All right, consent agenda, one motion non-available to approve recommendations noted. Any member of the council may ask for an item to be taken from the consent agenda for discussion and separate action.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Communication from City Council. Councilmember Johnson.
Attended the music on the Main Street on Friday, and that was really enjoyable, really a good time, and appreciated that. And want to thank the police department. It's something that happened in my own family, and the co-responder came out and worked with us, and that was really a good experience, and just want to compliment the police department on that.
Councilmember McCollum.
All right. I have some park updates. What a surprise. So first, I just want to point out the next meeting is taking place on Monday, which will be the 19th. And that'll actually be here in the council chambers at the normal time, 6 o'clock. In case you didn't see in the local news or on social media, both Country View Playground is done and open, and the name for the donated land is the Dryden Nature Reserve. There is a lot of events going on hosted by the parks, and I don't think it'd be possible for me to list them all. But I will point out two of them, and one of them is the Princess Party that is taking place this Saturday for kids 4 to 13, and there is a cruise night going on Saturday as well from 2 to 6. And then, believe it or not, we're getting close to the end. Not quite there, but close to the end on the farmer's market. So if that's something you want to go and check out, it takes place every Thursday. And that's everything I got.
Councilmember Richardson.
I want to bring up, I know there's been a lot of theft going around Belton here lately. I had a neighbor right across the street get his car broke into. I've gotten multiple calls from other people. There's been multiple posts out on Facebook. Cars stolen, guns stolen. Academy Sports has gotten broke into. Kohl's, there was a video out on Facebook last week at Kohl's, people just carrying stuff out. We also over at, I believe, Encore, had cars getting broken into. And I got a call from somebody that lives there that witnessed these people breaking into these cars, and the police showed up and I guess had their lights on and everything, and the guys got in their cars and took off, and we didn't go after them. I was just kind of wanting to know what our policy is on that.
Our chase policy is that we only chase in regards to felonies, and theft from a vehicle doesn't rise to the level of a felony, and we don't chase stolen cars. And one of the stolen cars from last week, we actually chased it to the city limits and then let it go. It ran into Grandview. Grandview was unable to locate it, and they stole more from theft from vehicles there too. There's not very many jurisdictions anymore that chase for those reasons because it's a danger to the public. And so when we do have the opportunity to have Cass County Sheriff's Department in town, if they are available, then we do turn that over to them.
Okay. So if we're in the middle of a break-in, somebody's breaking in, are we just calling Cass County?
No, we try to catch them before they get into the vehicles. But if they're in the vehicles and we activate our lights and sirens and they don't stop, we stop at the city limits.
But that is a felony now in Missouri, isn't it?
Yes, but it's not a forcible felony. It's not a violent felony.
Okay.
that's in keeping with a lot of jurisdictions throughout the country.
My biggest concern on that is if we're gonna have people just knowing that we're not gonna chase them, once they get in the car, they're just gone, and we're gonna turn and go the opposite direction, and which is gonna raise our car insurance, our home insurance, which is gonna be a big cost for our citizens also. That's my concern, is home insurance going up, car insurance. It's gonna get out of hand, so I just wanted to bring it up. I mean, seeing that, you got people calling from these places, seeing this stuff going on, and it doesn't feel like we're doing much about it, so, or that if they're getting into a chase, we're just gonna call county and let them take care of it, so.
I wouldn't say that we do nothing about it because we have an LPR system. We try to track those vehicles that are involved in other felonies. We do know, and there has been a theft ring running out of South Lee Summit for some time now. It's the subject of investigators' meetings. We share that information. We try to build cases on those individuals, and when we have success at taking them off and identifying them, then we do get arrest warrants, and we arrest them after the fact. As it goes for not chasing or chasing, I think everyone in this room and even at home would agree that the loss of a life of an innocent citizen because we are chasing a vehicle that is out of control and wants to get away, and we don't know who's in that vehicle, who is at fault for that, and do we want to take the responsibility of ending the life of an innocent citizen? And so I would say no. I would say that we put those investigations together, that we build solid cases, we build that intelligence that we have through the LPR system and through other departments, and then we get active warrants, and then we get them arrested at their residences or wherever we find them in such a position that we don't put lives at risk.
Okay. That's all I got.
You got anything?
Planning Commission, we re-elected the same people for chair and vice chair. And then on the next meeting, August 20th, we have several public hearings. The biggest one being, in my mind, the adoption of the Belton 2050 Comprehensive Plan. And I know Matt's looking forward to a big audience there, so he can tell you all what he has planned.
Nothing.
All right, me, Belton Day at the K. Diane kind of took my thunder away earlier, but yeah, Belton Day at the K, so that's the quickest thing coming up, so that's all I got. You got anything, Joe?
I've got a big list this time, unfortunately. December 10th and December 24th city council meetings, we're going to consolidate those into one meeting for December. You heard the second date was December 24th, unless everybody wants to be here on Christmas Eve. I think and the reason we would consolidate into one meeting on December 17th is so that way we don't go too many weeks in between meetings. So that it just makes a little more sense that way, rather than just canceling the 24th and having a potential 6-week or 4 to 6 week period between meetings. Let's just move one to the 17th. There's a decent possibility we'll schedule a special meeting for a budget workshop sometime in December as well. So that's not scheduled yet, but just giving you guys the heads up on that. The chamber is hosting a meet and greet. You guys probably saw the RSVP email on that. This is for the public to know that on August 22nd, that public meet and greet is going to take place at Meet Me on Main at 5:30 p.m. So if you are if you can attend, please RSVP that you can attend, and we will notice that up. We are going to be offering a wastewater treatment plant tour for the council members right before our next meeting. So our next meeting is on August 27th, and so at 5 p.m. At the wastewater treatment plant, we've got a tour essentially set up for you guys. You don't have to go, but we're going to go ahead and notice it up, and because it's a meeting, the public is welcome to attend if they really want to. We are not going to provide transportation to that unless you specially request it. I mean, if you need us to get you there, we'll get you there, but other than that, we'll just plan on meeting there at 5 p.m. on the 27th. For that tour, and that gives us time for a 20-30 minute tour, and then to get back here in time for the council meeting to occur that evening. And then Elevate Homes. I know there's been some discussion about a potential development on 2nd Street and the quality of their building. they have offered the opportunity for us to bring some council members up to tour some of their work that they've done for themselves. You know, they've done some building for a different developer over in the traditions area, and there's been some issues over in traditions, and we're fully aware of that. They would like the opportunity to show the council some of the things that they are doing and can do so when they're building for themselves specifically. And so if you're interested in that, on August 21st at 4 p.m., if you want to participate in that, please RSVP to Andrea, and she will send out an email reminding you of that potential opportunity. And so please RSVP to her. We will note, and if there are more than at least five of us going, 5 council members going, then we'll notice it up like we're supposed to. There's that, and then I've got one other thing. Usually we don't do this in front of council members for 10-year anniversaries, but because she is kind of your staff person, Andrea Cunningham is being recognized for her 10-year anniversary with the City of Belton. And so I wanted to go ahead and recognize her here publicly in front of you guys, and we've got a nice little certificate for her. I'll go give it to her right now.
We need a speech too.
Pictures.
Speech.
Back in 2014 was a long time ago. My youngest child was 3, and now he's going to 8th grade. But it's been a great 10 years, and lots of, even over just that 10-year period, lots of progress, lots of so many positive things that have happened. It's been great.
Congratulations. Thank you.
2 things. Congratulations. RSVP by when?
Well, she sent out the email and just RSVP as soon as you know, I guess. I mean, for which one? You're talking about the tour for Elevate?
Okay.
I'll send out an email tomorrow.
Friday.
That'll be Monday.
So that works by Friday? Go ahead.
One quick thing for the city manager, since this is under your report, I would like to see the parks meeting minutes included in the packet since we're gathering other commission meeting minutes.
I was actually going to ask about that as well, so yeah, thank you.
Okay.
You're slacking. She's still on top of her job. All right.
Hey, just because
We
I'm
all
the
done?
because I'm the parks liaison doesn't mean I have to only be the one, caring about parks. Just saying.
I hear you. Anybody else? We all good? All right. Item M, items for review and discussion. Retail strategies. You're up.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Before I hand it over to John from Retail Strategies, I know at our last work session, we talked pretty extensively about the different tools that we have in the toolbox when it comes to economic development. The opportunity that we're going to be talking about tonight with the retail recruitment and with Retail Strategies really is just another powerful tool that we can add to the kind of the economic development roster. And so really looking forward to the opportunity to partner with Retail Strategies. But I will let John talk more about exactly what they can do for the city of Belton, as well as some of the data and partnerships that they can bring to our community. So go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mike and Mayor and Council, for having me. My name is John Teed. I work for Retail Strategies, and we are a national recruitment firm. We work coast to coast, looking for kind of high growth, high potential communities to help bring retail to, and I think this is one of them. How do we? All right. There we go. So this is who we work with. This is kind of just a smattering of people we've worked with before as far as retailers. We're in the national retail recruitment business, so we are here to grow national retail in your city. On the right, there's businesses we've actually recruited to cities in the past. On the left, industry involvement. I ran into Mayor Larkey, Joe Warren, and Mike Geeky here at ICSC in May, at ICSC Las Vegas. We have a huge presence there. We advocate for our communities, not only kind of in the day-to-day, but in these conferences and really any one of those conferences that exists in America. We talk about what we do for a community. The average economic developer has so much going on. From industrial, you guys have a huge industrial presence here. From residential, from anything else. We are very singularly focused on the national retail component, and we do that because we want to grow tax revenue, sales tax revenue, property tax revenue, and jobs in a community. So, what cities really we're looking for, the tax, the job creation, the quality of life businesses that could help kind of prop up a city. We're here to help do that. We do that in 3 steps. Step 1's the data. I'm gonna go through a little bit of this. We run probably 10,000 different data points in any average community, and we can really refresh it at any time. But here's when I ran on Belton. So you can see the map up there, the little cell phone. This is mobile data. So this is using actual cell phone data to track where people go and where people shop. So I ran this off the Price Chopper. Just kind of an easy one. It's right in the middle of town. Probably gets a lot of people coming in and out. So you can see, where the actual boundaries of Belton would be, and the heat map of the trade area of moving in and out of there. What that does is that allows us to kind of puff out our chest and say, hey, Belton's bigger than you think. This trade area has over 50,000 people in it. We could treat this like it's a 50,000 person town because you have these people coming in and out, you have the interstate frontage or the highway frontage and everything else. And I included some data on the business by month and day. We run that off basically any business in the city that's tracked by mobile data to understand where people are going. The idea is to keep people in this town spending money and not having to go to Lee's Summit or to go to Raymore or other places to buy their goods and services. Off that, I ran what's called a gap analysis. Now, a gap analysis is the difference between the supply and demand of a community, and a positive number is basically a measure of opportunity for growth in that potential sector. So these are just 4 I pulled out of there. So these are what we call a gap. So $38 million in health and personal care are being spent outside of this community by your residents because they are demanding more than this city can supply. Same, you can see they're going for clothing, restaurant, general merch, big numbers that are, if we captured even 1% of any of those, that would be some pretty significant, 5 figures, 6 figures in sales tax revenue. Another community we run, this is just an example, this isn't real life, is what we call a peer analysis. So we could take this community and put it up against another community that's very, very similar. So, say Platte City or Raytown or something like that, or any other town across America, and we say, what does this community have what does that community have that Belton does not, and why? And that helps us kind of make a list of being able to call on these retailers and say, hey, you're here and you do great, why not consider Belton as an option to build out in your next location? And data is really neat, and honestly, I could draw a trade area big enough to make this the biggest city on earth. That's just really for us just a jumping off point. A lot of companies can get data, that's for us, it's kind of like, what is the city going to do with it? It's the first step toward retail recruitment. It's not even doesn't really necessarily have to be used for national retail. We can measure the traffic on Main Street. We can measure some of the peer analysis on the downtown, some of your downtown business. It doesn't necessarily, you could use it for residential forecasting as well. We can pull any of that stuff really at any time. And also at the bottom I put, sometimes site requirements have rules that can be broken. A lot of people, you go to ICSC, you meet with a retailer and they say, oh, this is our requirements. And a lot of people could say, well, that's not exactly exactly how this works, and really every single one of these land deals is done with a kind of a caveat on what they would normally do. So I say, well, understanding the data is crucial. This is what we do with it. If step 1 is our data, step 2 is our real estate analysis. So when we engage a community, we actually travel to the community and drive around all the retail corridors, and literally with someone in the front seat with a laptop, someone driving, pointing out any available real estate. I was here 2 weeks ago. Mayor Larkey was kind enough to drive me around. Has a wealth of knowledge, more than most mayors, about what the city, probably just from your longevity here, and of what's going on with the roads that are changing, and some of the available property. We're looking at basically anything. Anybody could look onto LoopNet or Crexy and see what's for sale. We probably do as many land deals on properties that are not for sale just by calling them and asking them and say, hey, this building doesn't look like it's in good shape. Is anybody interested in selling? Or it's doing fine. Is anybody interested in selling? All we can do is ask and see if they're interested in moving that building. We also like to come and meet, local influencers, meet with the chamber, meet with anybody in the council, especially meet with local commercial real estate agents that are doing deals in the community. It's important to know that we don't take any real estate commission at all. So we don't have our hands in the pocket of any of your local brokers. We're here to fill their spaces for free. And if we can fill the spaces, and again, the city gets the tax revenue and they get their listings filled, then really kind of everybody wins. Here's just a random, site criteria from a Dunkin' Donuts. This is kind of just one of the smallest and easiest things to build. We're talking about a minimum population requirement, household income, traffic count. I mean, you guys could do that on any given day on any of your main corridors. And that's really what we're kind of leading into with these things, is trying to find something that would kind of fit and lead with that and try to move forward with it. And so that leads us really to our step 3. And if we have step 1 is data, and step 2 is the real estate analysis. This is 97% of the work. This is the day-to-day labor of trying to bring retail to the community. So we have a really big team. We're about 70 people. The team that manages the Midwest is 4 licensed real estate agents. So we're coming in and we are doing this work for this community. We have a 4-to-1 client to staff ratio, and we spend every single day calling, emailing, meeting with retailers, developers, commercial real estate agents on behalf of our communities to help bring retail there. We do that, and we load it all in a software called Basecamp. Some of you may be familiar, project management software where the city can log in at any given time, check our progress, and say, hey, what was going on with that property, or that one particular land deal we were working on. So this isn't the type of engagement where someone stands up here and then you stroke a check and then we come back in 3 years and let you know how we did. This is very persistent partnership work where we stay in really close communication with our clients. And honestly, I think our best and most successful clients are frequent communicators. Conference representation, like I mentioned, I was at ICSC with the rest of our team. We sent 30 people. We probably had 400 meetings. We go to every single ICSC show. Red River, Mike and I talked about earlier, is in January in Dallas. That's probably the closest one to you. Chicago is also next month. ICSC Las Vegas is obviously the biggest one. So we're there, advocating for our clients every time we go to that. After all those conferences, we provide the city with a conference report, not only just with national things that we hear, new trends, but also with what happened or what came out of meetings specific to your community. And a lot of that is set, teeing things up for follow-up later. So we'll say we met with these people, they're considering these sites. We're going to be following up in the next couple of months. You'll be able to track that in Basecamp as well. This is a snippet of our team. Like I mentioned, we're pretty big. I just kind of picked the most important people up there. Myself, the portfolio director, the recruiter. Like I mentioned, we're pretty big, and we got 40 licensed real estate agents on staff. Offices in Birmingham and in Fort Worth, where all the retailers are. So we've been doing this for a while. Deliverables, market analysis, all the data, whether we kind of pretty it up, but also we can deliver the raw data in Excel. Retail recruitment plan, that's about 90 to 100 pages long, saying, hey, this is who we want for these specific sites. We present the plan to the city, and then we actually execute the plan. Again, this isn't like a thing where we just hand it off and then, and bid adieu. We are working this plan that we present to follow, with your counsel and your guidance and really your wish list on how to go after these things. And then a marketing guide that the city can use kind of just to leave in case someone comes in. And that's it. I'd love to entertain any questions.
Any questions? I would add that I had a meeting with John prior to Joe, prior to anybody being here, right after I was elected, to try to jumpstart, the national, listen to everybody, want national stuff here as well as mom and pop stuff. So I did have a meeting with him early on, and then at that time we were trying to hire city managers, so it kind of got put on the back shelf. So now it's back. So just for everybody's information, this has been ongoing for a while. So any other questions, thoughts, concerns? Go ahead.
From a business perspective, I guess, I don't know what the right term here is, but I'm assuming you make money because we are going to hire you to do this service. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay. So, and then this question isn't necessarily for you, Mike, Joe, whoever would be appropriate here, but I guess, talk to me a little bit about why we want or need to outsource this type of work.
So really the best way to kind of look at this is not necessarily outsourcing. I mean, this is really just expanding our capabilities. In my role, I mean, I am limited just by the time and just the physical space of working here within the community. This really opens up a whole team of other professionals that can now help with the work that we're already doing. Along with the market analysis, and I know everyone on the council here is familiar with some of the work we've done with Placer AI. Placer AI is great when we get specific questions about what type of foot traffic is happening downtown, or is there, what type of traffic specifically is being driven to an individual business. But now we're going to be able to partner that type of data and that type of analysis with what does that mean, or what is the market ripe for in terms of a retailer or a restaurant that can go in this specific location. One of the things that I did before we kind of really first started talking about this partnership is, we use a program right now that shows Lois, that shows us all of the open or the vacancies in our built-out retail strips. Based on just what we have open right now, we could essentially fill another space about 2/3 the size of Target, just based on the empty retail space we have in the community right now. There is just not enough time in my day to be able to kind of make the cold calls and introductions and build the relationships with different national retailers, restaurants, or even local restaurateurs on a one-to-one basis. And that's where this team really comes in handy, is being able to say, we know what our preferences are, we know what our priorities are, and obviously retail and restaurant is a pretty high priority in economic development. We now have a team that can help us kind of serve as air support to the work that we're doing on the ground here already.
And I'll add to that too.
Okay,
Really, that's kind of a better way of how I put it. This is really, we seek to kind of report to to Mike and his staff. So a typical month for us would be all the labor of calling on all these people, reporting it. But it's extremely common for some of our clients to call or text our portfolio director for the market and say, hey, council had a question about our price chopper. How does that compare to the price chopper in Lee Summit? Well, we can run that data. Or can we run a new fresh traffic study on this particular road? Or can we run some new demographic data or mobile data off what's one particular business? Anything like that, we can put all that stuff together. We can make a report that's redacted to release to the public if you want. We really kind of become part of the staff.
Go ahead.
I would just suggest probably stay away from bringing coffee shops into here.
Well,
There's
you're kind of halfway being serious and facetious, but that's one of the things that I liked about them originally, is that they did an analysis of what we need and what we had, and that's one thing that drew me to them. So is that
Coffee shop's not on there though, is it?
I didn't get that far. The most common question that comes from the council, and maybe a lot of people think about this later, is how do we make sure we're not cannibalizing our local businesses? Same exact thing applies. All those positive numbers up there were people leaving the community. So those are those are going to be our first targets, right? Those are going to be the ones that are easy to get. If we have a negative gap, which would represent negative opportunity, which you had some, I always tell people negative gap is like golf. Like negative is better. That means you're already capturing that extra. That's not something that a retailer is going to be interested in, because the market's saturated. It's thriving as it is, but so we could rerun the data, and I don't know, coffee shops is out there. You feel like there's a lot of them. There's a negative gap, but I've had people say that before, and there's a $25 million gap in coffee, and people are just surprised, so you never really can tell.
It's a common subject on Facebook that we have too many coffee shops, so.
We'll keep that in mind.
This may be an unfair question, but it's more curious. Since you drove around with the mayor and seemed to have
Man.
This is going to be a more. Do you happen, just in your mind, I'm not asking you to give away any secrets, in your mind, kind of things that you'd like to bring to Belton?
Probably another hotel. I think you all could support another hotel, given your proximity to the highway. I think the growth in tourism coming from the sports, the World Cup, that would be that's also one of the longest term, hardest things to build. I mean, it takes years and years of hotel study to get a hotel done. But I think we were out by the interstate. We saw some of those really nice sites you have out there. You have existing hotels that are good, I know, but I think that would be, absolutely within your grasp. And then maybe some more like health, and from the data, off the top of the cusp, a health thing, maybe another Walgreens or CVS or something like that, where because clearly you're losing quite a bit of that. And I know that you have that border, really right along that retail corridor, and I don't remember the road, but going into Raymore. So ideally, we'd be bringing some of those businesses that are already there, up and exit to where you can have a Belton location that wouldn't compete with that, but that would serve your residents as well.
Anybody else?
I don't know if anyone told you we don't need an Olive Garden anymore.
Y'all just make me a list and I'll
Oh, you want the list? I've got a couple of.
email it to me.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else have anything else? That being said, I'd entertain a motion to enter an executive session to discuss matters pertaining to legal actions according to Missouri State Statute 610.021.1 pertaining to the leasing, purchase, or sale of real estate according to Missouri State Statute 610.021.2 pertaining to hiring, firing, discipline, promotion of personnel according to Missouri State Statute 610.021.3 pertaining to negotiated contracts according to Missouri State Statute 610.21.12 pertaining to individual identifiable personnel records, performance ratings, and records pertaining to employees or applicants for employment according to Missouri State Statute 610.21.13, and the record be closed and the meeting adjourned from there.
Present.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll
You read
call.
that fairly well.
That's a mouthful tonight. So,
Now you know how I feel when I read those ordinance titles.
yep.
The ones that Greg writes. Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Pryan,
Yes.
White,
Aye.
Richardson,
Aye.
McCallum,
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Yes.
Motion passes.